The word is gone forth. It is time to go forward. Double doors of opportunities will open as we advance to take new territories for the Lord. There will be a new passion for God and His dealings as we press deeper into Him. There will be productivity in every area of our lives, in businesses, in innovation, and in ministry. We will progress as we engage our communities and our world with the power and love of God. Families will not be left behind as we build legacies for the future. It is time to move. It is time for opportunities. It is time to do great things. 2020. Our time to advance.
Get ready for the Word of God as we welcome the Senior Pastor of Fruitful House, Reverend Albert Osai Acuna.
Welcome to Family Life. We miss you. I know you miss us, but we miss you more. For the past couple of weeks, we've been praying. So on Tuesdays, instead of coming to you with Family Life, we're praying. It doesn't mean Family Life has ended. It's just beginning. Wonderful things are in store for you. We've been dealing with financial stewardship. And there is one major aspect of financial stewardship we did not deal with. And today we are bringing it is that word credit. Credit. Yeah, people say it's my credit. And in credit, we have a system called a credit score. What is it? What does it do? Why do I need to have a good credit score? And this is what we're about to discuss. Get your friends, your loved ones. These are things when you know when you are young, it helps you when you grow. And this may be as the change you need or the miracle you've been praying for to get ahead in life. And so send a link to somebody, nudge them and say, they are talking about that word, credit score. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be an opportunity to ask questions. Get your questions ready because, I tell you that it's easy for me just hosting it, and those who come on this program do all the difficult work. Today I have with me a wonderful woman, Beatrice Poma, and I will let her introduce herself to you and what she does. Why she is the best for this time to speak on credit score. Welcome to the program, Poma.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you. As Pastor said, my name is Beatrice Poma. I'm a real estate agent with Cloud Realty and a mortgage agent with Ayala Financial. I've been doing both
10 years. How old are you? Oh, good. Don't say that. All right. I thought you were about 18 or 19.
Thank you very much. I've been doing both for about 10 years. My background originally is in finance. When I had my first child is when I went full into the real estate and then followed by the mortgage license. And I've been doing both and trying to help as many people as I possibly can. At the same time, educating them about what mortgage is, what credit is, how to purchase a house, what's involved, and all of those sort of things.
Wow. Credit. That word. You know, I first heard the word years back in England, and I was so confused actually about credit. Credit. Because the system I grew up in, I don't think they were used to the word credit. I didn't even know credit score. What is credit score?
Okay, so credit and credit score. So credit score is the ability to borrow and also be able to make the monthly payments that the bank has given you. So for example, TD has given you a credit card of $1,000 and they've told you've used that credit card and they tell you on a monthly basis you're going to be making payments of $50.
Right.
That's principal and interest. That's the credit that they've given you and you're using it. With that credit, you start to establish what is called the credit score. So over time, as you're using it, you'll see your credit score starts to gradually.
No, I want to ask this. Somebody has given me free money to spend. What's the implication of that? Free. Somebody gave me money, 1,000. It's free money, isn't it?
It's not free money. Nothing in this world is free. So please don't mistake in that. It's not free money.
Oh, it's not free money.
It's not free money.
Interesting to know.
It's not free money. You have to pay for it. Once you start using it, make the payments that is required on it. Otherwise, you're ruining that credit that the bank so generously gave to you in terms of realizing, oh, this person looks like a good person to give a credit to so they can therefore establish themselves more. But it's not free money.
So that credit card is like money they entrusted to me?
Yes, it's money that's been entrusted to you, and in turn, you're going to be making monthly payments once you start using that credit card.
What if I don't do the monthly? If you don't have money to pay, what happens?
If you don't have the money to pay the credit card, then I would say don't use the credit card because, again, it's not free money. But if you don't have the money to make the minimum payments, at least try to make the minimum payments. If not, you can also call the bank and just maybe explain to them that you've kind of run into a little bit of financial hardship and see what they can do. But you should at least try to make the bare minimum payments on the card. And then another thing to do is, yes, you've been given so-called free money, which is not free money. So let's just make sure it's not free money. This credit card of $1,000, try to make sure you don't use 50% of that credit card. What I mean by that is you've been given $1,000. Try to just use up to $500 a month, because what happens if you reach the cap, which is that $1,000, your credit score, it looks to these lenders like you're mismanaging your money or you don't know how to handle the credit. Therefore, it kind of brings down your credit score.
They gave me the money to use.
Yes, they did, but
free money. Okay, you say it's not free, so I will not say free money again.
It's not free.
All right.
It's not
For
free.
your sake, I will not say it's free, but it looks like free, isn't it?
It does. Some people think it is, but it's not free money.
All right. So we establish today this is not free money.
Yes.
It's like a trick money rather. Is that what it is?
It's not trick money. It's money that's been given to you. You've applied for it, or sometimes it may come free to you from the bank because they see you as a reputable person or a good person that they want to entrust this money to you to use. It's a relationship that you've got with the bank. So I'm giving you $1,000. I'm entrusting that you're going to use that $1,000 responsibly and make the minimum payments required at the end of the month, so that at least you start building your credit.
What if I don't don't want credit? Like I don't like it, I don't want it, don't want to have credit in the world. I'm a walk alone. What happens to me then?
In this country, in this world that we live in, you need credit. So you can't walk around say you don't want this credit, you can't use this credit, whatever it is. I've had clients who are just everything they do is cash, and then they come to me saying, Beatrice, I want to buy a house. First thing I'm going to ask, I need so and so plus your credit report. They're like, well, I don't know what that is, or I don't have any credit because I use everything cash. No, in Canada, in the US, all over the world, you need credit to purchase a house, to do anything, get a car loan. If you don't have credit, it costs you more. So you have to have credit, and with that credit, you have to learn to be responsible with that credit.
So the money that I was there that they gave to me, which I thought it was free, now you are saying it's not free, that I have to pay back. If I don't want it, it's another problem.
Yeah, so
It's a no-win situation.
It's
So then what is this credit score thing? What is credit score?
so the credit score is this credit card, this $1,000 credit card that you've been given. So let's say you use it, the monthly bill comes, you've been making the payments. Gradually, you start building a score. So the score ranges from the lowest of 300 to 900. So 300.
300 to 900.
Yes. So 300 would be somebody who has no credit. So when you apply, they will even deny you. So in order to get a credit, if you're not getting this so-called free money, you'll have to do something called the Visa debit card, where you'll put your own money on a Visa debit card and then start to use it gradually. And then the bank will see that, hey, this person's been using this, so let's now give them credit. And then you can start using it, right? And that's where you start to build the credit. But the credit, the 300 is the lowest. If either you don't have credit, you kind of start from there. Or if you've had credit in the past and you've ruined it, you can go as low as there. And then you've got the
300.
highest. 300, yeah.
What will 300 buy?
Nothing.
Like zero.
Zero. Nobody will look at you, give you nothing.
Then why do they put it there if it doesn't?
You need to teach you about what credit is and how it works, right? So the 900, banks love people with 900 scores or in between, anything above 680 and up. Banks love you because you look like a responsible person who's able to manage this credit that's been given to you, and you're making the monthly payments on that credit.
But that's a catch here. So because being a Christian, I want to be seen as responsible.
Yes.
So then, of course, and I want to be responsible. The Bible tells me to be diligent.
Yeah.
So that sounds okay. So it's a measure of responsibility. That's how responsible the world sees you as.
Yes.
That means it's implying that if I don't have credit, I'm deemed irresponsible.
No.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Now, so what do they deem me then if I don't have good credit?
Well, you're in a boat on your own because you can't buy.
I can't buy or sell
You
anything.
can't buy a house or get a car loan. You'll be able to get a car loan, but it will be at a higher rate, right? Versus if you had credit and then you're able to get a lower rate.
Isn't it true that the Bible says the rich will get richer and the poor will get poorer?
Yes.
All right. So what is deemed like excellent scores for credit score?
So the excellent scores, as I said, is the 900, and then anything from 680 and up. I'm saying 680 because CMHC announced earlier in the summer that for mortgage-wise, they need a score of 680 and above. So anything below the 680 is still good, but it's not so great. When you have above the 680, you're seen more responsible to the lenders. Therefore, they're able to offer you more, and you get your interest rates become a little bit cheaper versus when you're below the 600 or even the 680. Your interest rates will be higher. And then forget the 300s because you're definitely not getting anything. So
what if my credit score is 679?
679 in regards to mortgage and in regards to one insurer, specifically CMHC, they will not give you a mortgage if you're buying with 5%.
679.5.
679. They have guidelines.
0.5.
Nope, there's no 0.5. It's 679. That's it.
So it got to be 680 plus.
Yeah, 680 plus.
This is difficult.
It's not.
Because if I'm starting from 300, okay, so now I hear you. I have 600 and maybe 420. And I want to change this to 800 or 900. Can I do that within 2 weeks?
No. It takes time to build your credit.
Do you
So,
work for the credit company? Because all your answers are no.
well, I don't work for them. I just have the information and I'm trying to share it.
All right, because it seems so 2 weeks I cannot let my credit go up.
No.
How many weeks does it take for my credit?
The reporting takes, depending on which credit company, there's two of them, Equifax and TransUnion. So
Which one is better?
most of the lenders, the banks use Equifax. But at the same time, TransUnion, depending, they were equally good, but it's a personal preference in terms of the lenders, which one they'll use. But I think everybody's used to my clients are used to seeing Equifax because that's where I tell them to go to get their credit reports. TransUnion is also a very good company, but mostly it just depends on the bank. So TD may prefer to use TransUnion versus Equifax, and then RBC may prefer to use Equifax versus TransUnion. So it's just a preference by the banks as to which one they want to use. So in terms of your question regarding you can fix your credit in 2 weeks, no. The reporting usually takes about 3 months for your score to change. Sometimes a month, depending on where the schedule that they've got going. But it's usually every quarter, if you can. What they say is that you should check your credit score once a year, but I would suggest maybe checking it twice a year, if even possible, quarterly, just because of credit fraud. So just to kind of keep yourself afloat in terms of knowing what's going on with what's in your credit history. If something's been reported wrong, then you can at least correct it too.
Now I feel better. So you say within 3 months, I can move from 300 to 900.
Not like that, but you'll move from your 300 to maybe 600, depending on what's been going on in that 3 months.
So within a year, I can change it.
You can change it, yeah. The credit scores, it's changeable. You can fix it. Sometimes even in a span of 6 months, you'll see you've started off at, say, 600 and you've gone to as high as 700, just depending on what activities have been going on the card or on your credit report.
Wow. So if my credit score is 500, what can I do with that?
You can't do anything. You can maybe buy a place, but your interest rate will be very high. And for sure, it will not be an insured deal. You'll have to put like 20% down. And then in terms of other things such as credit cards, you may be able to get a credit card, but again, it will be at a higher interest rate. Same thing for getting a car, for example, and you have to do a car loan. Again, that will be at a higher interest rate. So ideally, if you can have your credit score at 680 and above, or even in the 600s and gradually kind of go from there, it looks better for you. Things become a little bit cheaper because the cost wise, but anything below 600 I would personally say is a big no-no because it becomes too expensive for you as the individual to try and do anything with that.
Do I have to be very rich to have a higher score?
No.
So I can be broke, but my score is good.
Yes. Because you are making your minimum payments that is required, or you don't have too much debt on your credit. Because another thing that impacts or affects your credit for it to go up, that is the number of trade lines, which when I say trade lines is you can have 5 credit cards, but make sure you're not like maxing out on all those 5 credit cards. Remember I stated that try to use just 50% of whatever the credit balance is, because with that being said, it also makes your credit score goes up. And then again, you're looked upon very responsibly to some of these lenders out there, and they'll offer you more credit. If a bank ever offers you more credit, do not decline it, accept it, just leave it, and just don't touch it, let's say. I know temptation is, yes, I know temptation is there, but if you can, try not to use it and just leave it there, because there might be a rainy day for whatever happens. So just try to avoid not using it if possible.
So what are the credit score factors? What makes my credit score good?
What makes your credit score good is paying your credit monthly payments on time, not using try to keep it under the 50% of the credit balance that you've got. And if you can, let's say this $1,000, for whatever reasons, your brother or somebody's giving you $1,000 and your credit card is $1,000. Try to pay it off if possible. And even if the minimum payments, you can try to do bi-weekly payments within the month, because your statements usually come monthly that, hey, this is your bill for this month, make it. If you happen to have extra money that month, maybe double up on that payment. There's other ways you can also try to get your credit scores up. Again, it's most of the time it's the minimum payments, and try to keep at least 50% of it.
So does how long I've had my credit also affect my credit score?
Yes. So when you are purchasing a house, for example, your credit history is important, because the lenders look at it that we need to have 2 trade lines. Again, when I say 2 trade lines, is a credit cards with a minimum balance of $2,000 and at least credit histories of 2 years on it. So there is exceptions where they'll say if it's 2 people going to buy, one person's got a lengthy credit history, the other person doesn't. They'll make exceptions, because then it's 2 of you that's going on the application. So one will look better, and that's fine. But if it's one person that's going on there, and that person has credit cards with only balances of $1,000 each, and their credit history is just maybe 3 months or just a little under the 2 years, there's some exceptions that can be made if it's just a little under the 2 years. But at the same time, those are the 2 factors that you're kind of looking at there.
This is getting interesting. I know that you have your questions. You can send in our questions, send it through your means of watching or the number that is shown on your screen, and we'll answer your question for you. But before we go to that, we want to take a short break, and don't leave us. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon. We'll be back with you, and it's even getting better. It is about credit score. See you soon. Oh my word. Welcome back. It's credit score time. Now, we've been speaking about credit score, how important it is. We also learned that when you are giving credit card, it's not free money. I thought it was, but I hear you had to pay it back, and that builds your credit. Very interesting. That word is so important. The credit helps you to do any buying when you are in this Western world. So, Poma, Beatrice, this question to you. I like your name, Poma, because it is Poma. Beatrice, question to you. Let's say I'm in Canada, I'm new. I don't have no credit. I don't know what to do. Where do I start?
So where you start is a lot of the banks have new to Canada programs. So ideally you would start at the bank, because you need to open up a bank account to do anything in Canada. So when you do let them know that you're new to Canada, they'll open up the accounts for you. Sometimes with the new to Canada programs, they have credit cards that they're offering. If you're able to elaborate to them that this is what you want to do, that person that you've met will be able to say, okay, we do have the program available. We can give you your bank account. We can also give you a credit card. And then the next step is, if say you want to purchase something, they can also help you out with that. So your credit This one, it's usually the New to Canada program. A lot of times people are, when they're moving here, they have quite a bit of money. And if they don't, there's still the program there that they can help them out with. So the banks will help you with opening up your bank account as well as getting a credit card because they have those programs available there. And then you can start again building your credit and then kind of having the relationship with the bank to see from there.
Very interesting. So these are established programs.
Yeah, these are established programs. All the banks have them.
Now, I'm interested in the credit card again. See, the free money.
Yeah.
Now, the credit card they give you, is it a straight up credit card they give to you?
It depends on the bank. Some of them is a straight up credit card that they'll give you. They'll give you maybe say $1,000 or $2,000 for you to use.
I'm coming back to Canada again. Now, if my credit is messed up, can't I do the New to Canada program?
No, because you have to prove that you're new to Canada. Because this is most of the time it's like PR people or new to Canada. Because when you go to the bank, you have ID, right? So the ID will let them know that yes, you are
really new to
you are
Canada.
really new. Yeah.
So those grandfathers in Canada like me, you will not qualify for that.
No, you're not the grandfather, but yes.
Anyway, so what are some of the banks who offer these things?
The major 5 banks, TD, RBC, CIBC, all of those guys, the other ones to HSBC, they all offer it. And even like some of the mortgage lenders, there's a few out there that also offer credit cards. And these, in terms if you're going to buy something, they have programs for mortgages for new to Canada and that sort.
Wow. This is very, very, very interesting. So I don't need to do much. I just need to go to a bank, reputable bank, 5 major banks, and say, I'm new to Canada because maybe I just came last week. Do they do it for everybody? Because some who come here are landed, some are students, some are visitors. If I'm a visitor, can I go for credit?
No, it depends because I've had a family member who are visitors as well as students. Usually with the visitors and students, it's more the bank accounts. But when you're the PR and they know you're going to be staying in Canada, then it's a different exception that they make. But over time, as I guess with the students, over time, they'll still see credit cards at the schools and then they apply for them. And then eventually the bank may see that, hey, this guy has a credit card. Maybe we should give him one of ours so they can also make money from there too.
How young should I start thinking about my credit?
18, but I would say know what you're doing because I remember when I was that age and I got my credit card, I was not wise at that time. And
you thought it was free money?
I thought it was free money.
There
I
you
didn't
go.
have the knowledge that I have now, so I definitely did misuse it. So as time went by, I learned and knew better. So yeah.
Is there a program teaching young people about credit? Because I don't see it around.
Not that I know of, but what I do and my partner, what we do is when we do meet clients at first, we sit down and educate them in regards to your credit, what the whole thing is about, what it entails, break it down in layman terms, and also answer any questions that they may have. Because again, like we're doing this, a lot of people may not know or they know bits and pieces of it. So it's like sometimes you'll say something, they have an aha moment. It's like, oh, wow, I didn't realize those things went together. So personally, I don't know. There's quite a few, like if you do a Google search, Equifax and TransUnion, they have a whole load of information on their website, even just typing in what is credit. It's there, but I find a lot of people don't have the time to look at all of those. Sometimes it's easier hearing it from somebody, breaking it down to them versus having to read all those documents and trying to understand what it is that they're talking about. So personally, what my partner and I do is we just sit down when we meet the clients, go over everything, give them information to read, and we're like, if you have any questions or concerns, call us back. We can meet up, and then we can go over everything again.
Isn't this credit card thing skewed? Because maybe my name is Ototroto, and that will affect my credit score. Wouldn't that be?
It actually makes you unique with a strange name like that.
Or it rather makes me unique.
Yeah, because some last names are very common, such as in the Ghanaian community, Boateng, Bimpong, or even, and then you have in the English name, Smiths. There's plenty of Smiths, right? So those kind of names are like more prone to like identity theft, I would say, because there could be a lot of Bob Smiths, and then which Bob Smith are you? There's a lot of Boatengs, which Boateng are you, right? So certain name, the name is not going to skew you or be put in a little box or whatever not, but it's just, you got to kind of know what it is that you're trying to.
Yeah, but my name doesn't affect me. Because
No, your name
this world
doesn't.
is weird.
No, your name doesn't affect you. Your
All
name doesn't
right.
affect you.
What about identity theft? I hear much about it. How do I protect my credit?
So in terms of identity theft and protecting yourself, is you should try to check your credit reports. I tell my clients at least try to check maybe every quarter, so which is like every 3 months, but the standard is to check once a year or even twice a year. There's a lot of companies out there such as Credit Karma, Borrowwell, and then your banks. I know my lenders, my banks offer me credit reports that I can pull up and see what I have on my credit reports, who's pulled my credit report without my permission, and what has changed.
If somebody pulls my credit report without my permission, what do I do?
You have to call Equifax and kind of, or whichever lender you've pulled it up, and call them. It's like, hey, I saw somebody has pulled my credit report. I didn't authorize for that. And then they can launch an investigation. It will take a while for it to find out, but at that same time, when something like that is, you find that, make sure you're also keeping on top of your credit report, because it could be somebody's trying to do something in the background. You have to check both credit companies. So TransUnion and Equifax, both of these companies, they don't communicate with each other. So while you're checking Equifax, also check TransUnion just to make sure that there's nothing funny happening on that one, as well as on the Equifax. I know it sounds like it's a lot of work, but it's better to do the work now versus doing it later when somebody has used your information to apply for tons of money without your permission, and trying to explain to these lenders that, hey, it wasn't me, someone else did it. And then they're going to launch an investigation. Meanwhile, you're trying to do something with your life, and it's just holding you up from doing that. So these sort of things, it takes time for it to be corrected. So if you can, monitor your credit reports, your credit scores as much as you possibly can. As I said, there's Credit Karma is free, Borrowwell is free. Your banks offer it. I know me personally, TD and RBC offer it for free for me.
Okay, so I have a question for you. And the question is very simple from your audience. They say that if I built a great credit before relocating, can it not be transferred to where I'm a migrate to? That's a fair question.
It's a fair question, but it depends on where it's coming from. So like Canada and US, Equifax, they work together. There's a different form that they can use to help you in terms of if you're trying to buy something, but from the UK and the other countries, no. So this is where, if you're new to Canada, this is where the New to Canada program will go. So some banks, they may be able to say, okay, let's see your credit report back in, I don't know, the UK, and let's see how we can work with it or try to help you out. It's just, it's almost like a case by case, but US and Canada, there is something there because Equifax and TransUnion are US and Canada. They're in both countries.
So if I have good credit in the US, that may impact my credit here.
It may impact your credit here. Again, it's just more of a report that they'll see, because the credit report that you have in the US, they'll look at it here and they'll see, okay, they were making payments and whatsoever. So this person seems to be good, and then they can try to give you a credit card here from a Canadian bank, and then therefore you can start to also build that.
Very interesting. But from other places like Europe, and what if I'm coming from the Caribbean and Africa?
Unfortunately, not all the banks there are recognized by a lot of these lenders or in Canada. So it may be you'll have to start all over again.
Okay, back to credit ID thefts that we're talking about. Somebody is sitting in a country somewhere, stealing my information to buy stuff. Why is that my problem?
Because you're responsible for yourself, right? I know it's stolen information, because what most of the time the credit card companies will put it back on you, the individual, until they launch an investigation and realize. I've had this done to me personally, where this is years ago. I was working downtown Toronto, and somebody used my bank card while I was downtown Toronto. The transaction happened in Mississauga, and my bank knows my patterns of transaction, that they realize, wait, this is not her doing that. So right away they called me and said, hey, Beatrice, did you just deposit money and then took out the money, $1,000 in Mississauga? I'm like, no, I am right now in downtown Toronto at Queen and University. So that's not possible. So they're like, can you go to the nearest TD bank, which I went, they verified, and then they put a stop to that, launched an investigation, and put that money back into my account. So had they not called me, then I saw that transaction, me calling them and triggering an investigation, I'm still somewhat a little bit liable, but again, the banks have things in place to protect clients, the credit protection. They have things in place, but it's just sometimes I say don't just leave the responsibility all on them. You also take responsibility for these things too, just to avoid having to go through it, because it can be very stressful, very, very stressful dealing with this stuff.
What do I do to protect my ID? You know, this ID theft thing. What do I do? Because you see, I hear that even your bank cards, somebody can just have a machine walk past you, and then they will just download all your information from your card without you knowing. How do I protect myself?
It's hard. It's hard to protect all this information, especially now in this digital world and everything that's there. So try as much as possible. Cover your PIN. Don't share your PIN with people. Monitor your credit. I'm somebody who's like every morning when I wake up after I'm done reading my Bible and stuff like that, I go through my bank accounts to make sure what I did the day before.
Nobody stole anything.
Nobody stole anything. And the thing is, I'm somebody who doesn't use cash a lot. Everything I do is debit because it's easier for me to account for it versus the cash. So if you make it a habit, even if it's not on a daily basis, maybe once a week kind of check. And then for the credit cards, again, do sign up for some of these free credit companies and just do it on a monthly basis or whatever. But there's also something in most of these credit card companies, like with my banks, on a daily basis, I get an alert that, hey, you use your credit card at this so-and-so place. So it's either a text or an email. So you'll know if you did this transaction or not. So if you didn't do it right away, of course, you're going to call them and tell them, hey, I didn't do this. Where did this come from? And then they'll freeze your credit card or lock it and then sort of start the investigation from there. But you have to also be accountable to your credit report, the cards that you have, everything that you have. Just try to protect it as much as possible because, again, trying to do the damage that somebody else has done on your behalf can be very worrisome, troublesome, stressful, so it's not fun.
Wow. That is very interesting. With this ID theft issue, if somebody has stolen my ID, taken money from my account, messed up my bank account, that will affect my credit, wouldn't it?
The bank accounts, no, because that one is between, it's your bank account with the bank that you deal with, example, TD, for example. But it's a credit card. The credit card company, they have a responsibility to launch an investigation to actually rule out that it wasn't you. Because the thing is, if it's kind of like my bank, my situation that I explained before, that was just to do with my debit card. Right now, there's things that can be done on your credit card. You're sitting here in Ontario, somebody's in BC using your credit card. Yeah, so those sort of things, the banks have a way of doing their own investigations to figure out whether if it was you or not. And then there's some, like if you're somebody who uses your credit card on a daily basis to pay for everything and then make monthly payments, they'll also kind of see all of that. And then I think like with them, the worst case scenario is they may have to just pay it out. They'll work something out with you or even do an affidavit of some sort. But they do an investigation to kind of rule out that, yes, you said you didn't do it, and therefore we're going to believe you. That we're going to believe you. But if you, while they're doing their investigation, it doesn't show up on your credit report yet. Like whatever transaction happened will be there. So you just continue to make your payment. Once they realize that it wasn't you, your credit card, whatever the amount is put back on there. And then, again, another thing is you can also, like I was saying with the credit cards or debit, the banks, they alert you and stuff like that. You can sign up with Equifax and TransUnion that they can alert you, have lenders call you every time you're applying for credit, that to get your permissions, like, hey, Beatrice, so-and-so is calling to pull your credit report. Did you authorize it?
Oh, you can do that?
Yeah, so you can have your account flagged that they will have to call you to get permission. So in my instance, when this was done to me, the bank did it on my behalf. So every time I went to go get a credit for whatever reasons, the company would call me to get permission that there is an alert on your account that says we need to get permission from you. So that is also something that you can do. Some of these, yeah, if it's outside of the bank offering it to you for free due to an incident like that, you pay for it. So if it's something that you're very stressed out about, then definitely, go the extra mile and do that.
Okay, Beatrice, at this point, if somebody's credit is messed up, like really messed up, they owe Joe Block's company, they owe Mr. Smith's company, they owe this bank, the credit card here is messed up, and they feel like there is no hope. How do they start from somewhere?
There is hope. You have to, once you've got the credit report, look at it and start seeing which credit card or most of the time, a lot of things that ruin your credit is phone companies, Rogers, Bell, Fido, all those guys.
Those ones.
Yeah, they're very quick to report it. And sometimes you may have co-signed or got the phone for a family member or friend because they needed it and they told you they would pay for it. They didn't, you guys went your separate ways, and now it's on your name. So reach out to those collections companies, because it does go to collections, and make some sort of an arrangement with them and then start paying it. Same thing for any other credit things that are on there that's ruined your credit. The first thing you've got to do is look at it and then start from there and call them. And then again, like I said before, when you do have these credits, try to keep it under 50% of whatever the credit limit is, so that you're not getting yourself into trouble. It's not free money, because you'll see that on a monthly basis. You have to make the payments for them.
Wow, what a wonderful time to talk about credit and credit score. I think you've done an amazing work for us. We've had an understanding of what credit is, and you've explained that this credit card is not free money, which was very important.
Yes.
Because most of the time you are tempted to think it's free money in your hands and you can use it however you want it. What are 3 reasons why my credit score should be top notch? Give me 3, convince me. These are reasons why your credit score should be at the top.
Your credit scores should be top notch for number 1 reasons. Employers check it. I don't know if
Employers.
Yeah, because recently, in the last few years, employers will check your credit history. They do ask for consent, depending on what your field is. They do ask for your consent. Even when you're going to rent somewhere, they request your credit report. When you're going to buy a house, you do need your credit report. There's a lot of things that credit is playing into nowadays. So your credit is very, very important. Same thing as your health. So I'd say, like, those 2 things, try to keep it, manage it, and just manage it properly, because you'll need it in everything that you need to do. If your credit is bad, it's going to cost you more in the long run. Good credit is cheaper than having a bad credit, and it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. And when I tell you some of these things, when you need to do certain things and your credit is bad, it's going to cost you double what it would have cost somebody who has good credit and they don't have to go through the stress that you're going through.
If you're giving me a target to work towards, not 680 because that's what the mortgage company is looking for, but you are saying this is a target, you can achieve it, and it will make your life easier. What target are you going to give me?
I will say 680. Just
680?
Yeah, 680.
Is that the magic number?
Yes and no, because the 680, you look much more better on paper to a lot of these lenders, right? Whether it's the banks for car loan or whatever, or for mortgage. The reason I keep saying 680 is because the insurer, CMHC, there's 2 other insurers that don't use the 680, but if you have the 680, there's ratios or numbers that we use in terms of the mortgage aspect. So if your score is at the 680, it looks better on you. And then again, for other products that you may be trying to get, the higher your score, the better it is you look on paper, right? So try to get to the 680, but at the same time, anything over the 600, you still look good, but at least 680 and above is better for you.
So will there be a difference between myself and if I have 800 credit score and somebody 680? Aren't we the same then?
You're in the same bin, but at the same time, like you may be able, let's say, for example, get the same mortgage rate, but let's say you go and get a line of credit, that will be a different story, right? So there's different categories as to what people can get depending on, and then someone with an 800 score will get more credit back to them, or if banks will offer them more credit because they can see that this person is very responsible versus somebody who's at the 680. They're slowly coming there, but at the same time, they rather take the 800 versus the 680 individual.
What an amazing night. Credit score, how important it is. If the Bible wants us to be diligent, I believe this is where we can start from when it comes to our credit, when it comes to our finances and financial stewardship. Because it's a way also of gauging for yourself a level of responsibility. I pray that the world will not call us irresponsible. Check your credit. Check the score. Work on it if it is not okay. And if somebody needs help, can they come to you for help?
Yes, they definitely can.
Where would they find you?
My phone number and my email address are, I believe, on this form here, but my name is Beatrice Poma. You can search me up on Facebook, Instagram, Google me. I have a website. All the information is there. So I'm pretty much everywhere.
That's amazing. We will be coming for you, because if credit is the main thing and credit score is what turns things around, then I think we will be coming for you. But before you go, there is another question for you. One of your audience is saying, if I built great credit before, He says, so if I build great credit before relocating, should I? That's the question we answered. We answered that question. If I build great credit before I relocated, can I transfer where I migrate to? So maybe somebody came later, so they want to hear that again.
So in terms of transferring credit from different countries, Canada and U.S. communicate, but for the other countries, the U.K., Australia, and those ones, it's a different story. So this is something where the banks, again, will let you know, because this would be somebody who's a new to Canada program that they would fall into this category. So you'd have to talk to your bank, but the credit is not transferable, especially from countries such as the UK and so forth. But within Canada, Canada and the US, they can work something out.
Who knows? They may be transferable from Africa and Caribbean.
Hopefully.
Who knows?
Hopefully.
You have another question. It says, how difficult is it to repair your credit after filing for bankruptcy? Okay,
that's a good one. So bankruptcy stays on your credit for 7 years.
7?
7.
By that time, my beard will be white.
Yeah, so you have to be very cautious when you're filing for bankruptcy. Exhaust all your options, because even once the 7 years does go by, sometimes there's some sort of an alert on your credit report that the lenders will see that this individual did file for bankruptcy a few years back. Another thing to also be cautious about is consumer proposal. That, again, is also another thing that you should be careful about. But bankruptcy, exhaust all your options.
What is consumer proposal?
Consumer proposal is one that you have a lot of debt, and then you've made arrangements, or a company will say, we're going to help you make arrangements.
Consolidated.
Yeah, it's different from when you go to a bank and you do a consolidation loan and you make monthly payments. So these guys are kind of cutting that into half, the consumer proposal into half with another company, and then you'll make payments, but it shows on your credit report. It's not a favorable thing to have on your credit report. It's kind of seen as a negative, kind of like the bankruptcy. So anything, try and speak to the banks and try and see if you can do a consolidation loan. And even for the bankruptcy, before you even go that route, look at the credit that you have and what's causing the issues that is making you think that you should file for bankruptcy. Because it might be something as simple as maybe trying to just stay afloat and making the minimum payments and trying to re-strategize and figure out a plan so that you don't fall into the bankruptcy or the consumer proposal, because those, once you're there, it costs you more money in terms of borrowing again in the future. It's going to be there for a very long time.
Talking about going back to the bank, Are they that reasonable that I can go talk to them when I'm having difficulty paying my bills?
Yeah, some of them are reasonable that if you get a good advisor, they will be able to help you out and sort things out. But again, at the same time, it's like with me and my partner doing mortgages, depending on what the situation is, we may be able to sit you down, educate you properly so that you know that these are your options. And then it may be, say, for example, if you do have a house, some of these debts that you may have collected, we may be able to put it into the house, the mortgage, so therefore you've only got one payment, right? So there is things that can be done. So at the same time, you can talk to your bank, but if you can also call myself or my partner, for example, then we can sit down and look at your overall financial situation, assess it with you, and see, okay, we can't help you, but maybe talk to your bank and see, and then we can sort of put a plan in place in the next 2 years or something like that, see where you can go from there. But yeah.
Right. There's a question here for you. How do partners affect each other's credit score?
How does what, sorry?
Partners, like your
Okay. So
partner. Yeah.
partner, so let's say when you're purchasing a place, for example, one individual makes more money, has a better credit score, is more responsible, and then you've got doesn't have too much debt, and then you've got the other partner doesn't make as much money but has bad credit, so much debt, and is the irresponsible one. So with the two of you trying to buy a place, all those debts that I've just mentioned, the income and everything plays a role in terms of how much you actually qualify for. So you have to sit each other down, kind of help one another out and see, okay, these are the debts that you have. How can we pay off some of these debts for you or something, and try to get your credit score to as high as mine. So therefore it makes it easier and cheaper for us to purchase a place.
But they cannot affect my credit score.
If you're doing something joint, no. No, in terms of affecting you individually individually, no. But as a couple trying to do something together, yes, because it'll bring down certain ratios and certain things that we use in terms of the mortgage world.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. You have really answered as well. And my last question is this, and I think you already know the question. Did you say that the credit card is not free money?
The credit card is not free money.
Okay. I'm glad you answered my question. And so, young guys, listen, the credit card is not free money. It's money that is lent. You want to borrow from the bank in a way, and you will have to pay it back. And so don't mess with your credit card. It will mess with your credit and credit score. We appreciate you watching. It's been fun learning about credit scores. But we'll see you again next week. Stay tuned. God bless and shalom.